6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malvarachi and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. Health authorities have issued new COVID suppression guidelines. All events including weddings, church services have been banned. Schools, preschools, universities and institutes of higher learning, tuition classes will be closed until further notice. School education goes online. Sri Lanka hits a record high of 1,716 coronavirus infections within a day. The death toll reaches 687. In foreign news, US and Nato start to formally withdraw troops from Afghanistan. The Director General of Health Services has issued a new set of COVID suppression guidelines with effect from yesterday. Accordingly, the following regulations will come into effect in accordance with the Alert Level 3 guidelines issued by the Director General of Health Services to curb the spread of COVID-19. Conferences, seminars, meetings and brand launches are banned until the 21st of May 2021. Supermarkets, shoppers' malls, financial institutions, textile shops and retail shops should be operated within the 25% total customer capacity. Events and public gatherings in closed and open spaces are not permitted. People should not gather at religious places of worship. Cinema halls and theatres, children's parks, swimming pools, pubs and bars, casinos and nightclubs, betting centres and spas must remain closed. The occupancy in hotels, rest houses and guest houses should be 50% of the total capacity and they should not function after 10 p.m. Carnivals, musical shows, beach parties and festivals are not allowed. Open markets, fairs and bakeries should operate at a 25% capacity of the total customer capacity. As for courts, up to 25% of the total capacity is open to the public and visiting prison inmates is not allowed. Schools, preschools, universities and institutes of higher learning, tuition classes will be closed until further notice. Online education can continue. Weddings are not permitted from Tuesday up to the 20th of this month. The Education Ministry has further postponed the reopening of all schools island-wide to May 7th. In view of the spike in COVID-19 cases island-wide, the ministry issued the announcement yesterday. Earlier, the ministry said schools countrywide will remain closed until the 30th of April. The health and education officials will review the decision to reopen schools again on the 7th of May. The Bishop's House stated that the Catholic private schools will also remain closed until May 7th in keeping with the decision of the government. The Minister of Education, Minister Professor G.L. Pires, says school education goes online during the period of closure. The ministry has planned to continue the e-learning system until further notice. The ministry has also focused their attention on shortening the August vacation as much as possible. Sri Lanka yesterday hit a record high of 1,716 coronavirus infections within the day. This marks the highest single-day spike in the country's infections, and it is also the third consecutive day Sri Lanka's daily cases stayed above the 1,500 mark. According to official figures, Sri Lanka's confirmed coronavirus cases count now stands at 109,862 and 12,697 active cases are still under medical care at treatment centres and hospitals. The number of patients who recovered from the virus infection sits at 96,478. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's COVID-19 death toll reached 687 yesterday as 9 more persons succumbed to the virus infection. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Kehelia Rambukwella says the government is in discussion with the British and Australian governments to secure the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine doses to continue the domestic vaccination drive. These governments have excess doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine since they were continuing their vaccination drive with the Pfizer vaccine. The minister said the government has come to know that there are 4.5 million doses of the vaccine with these two countries, and we are trying to secure a part of that to meet our requirement until the situation in India eases. State Minister of Transport Dilum Amanugama says the number of buses plying during the office hours will be increased. These buses will carry passengers only as per the seats allocated in the bus. The minister requests the commuters as well to strictly adhere to the health guidelines. The Matale District COVID Prevention Centre says that the opening of the Dambulla Special Economic Centre will be delayed owing to the pandemic. Many of the staff members of the centre have evaded undergoing PCR tests. 76 of the 276 workers have tested positive for the virus thus far. That's local news.
Finished? You have 1 more hour to write the exam.
Yes, sir. Always early.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Army Commander General Shavendra Silva, the head of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of the COVID-19 outbreak, urges the media to compel the public to support the government's measures to limit the spread of the coronavirus. He met the heads of visual media and social media institutions for discussions to explore the possibilities of mobilizing the masses to be conscious of the need and the responsibility of defeating the spread of the pandemic. During the meeting, General Shavendra Silva explained the current situation of the pandemic and the changing behavior of the new COVID-19 virus during the third stage and stressed the need for all to work realizing the gravity of the emerging trend, which is not peculiar to Sri Lanka alone. He briefed the attendees on the new isolated areas of the country and justified the need to go for such lockdowns whenever needed as they are designed to prevent further transmission.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight, the offices of the Department of Motor Traffic in Narahenpita and Verahara will be closed to the general public for a week from Monday. State Minister Dilum Amanugama said that this decision was taken after a number of employees of the DMT offices tested positive for COVID-19 in the recent days. That came to you in Watchlight, and now in World News headlines. US and NATO start to formally withdraw troops from Afghanistan. North Korea accuses Joe Biden of pursuing hostile policy over its nuclear program. India becomes the first country to report more than 400,000 corona cases in a day. The US has started formally withdrawing troops from Afghanistan, beginning the end of what President Joe Biden called the forever war. The US and NATO have had a presence in Afghanistan for almost 20 years. But the withdrawal, which runs until the 11th of September, comes amid escalating violence, with Afghan security forces on high alert for reprisal attacks. The Taliban has warned they are no longer bound by an agreement not to target international troops and attacks. North Korea has hit out at the Biden administration as it prepares to unveil its strategy for dealing with Pyongyang and its nuclear program. The Foreign Ministry said recent comments out of Washington showed President Joe Biden was intent on maintaining a hostile policy. Earlier this week, Mr. Biden called North Korea's nuclear program a serious threat to global security. The White House says he plans to take a calibrated approach to North Korea. India has become the first country to report more than 400,000 new coronavirus cases in a single day, as its nationwide vaccine drive launches amid a supply crisis. Some 3,523 deaths were officially recorded in the past 24 hours, but the real figure is thought to be far higher as many fatalities go unreported. All adults in India are now eligible to be vaccinated, but several states say they do not have the doses to carry out the exercise. And now the main points of the World News segment once again. US and NATO start to formally withdraw troops from Afghanistan. North Korea accuses Joe Biden of pursuing hostile policy over its nuclear program. India becomes the first country to report more than 400,000 coronavirus cases in a day. That was World News, and now in development news. Health Minister Pavitra Baniarachi says steps have been taken to provide intensive care services at the John Kotalawala Defence University Hospital, KDU, to critically ill patients of the third COVID-19 wave currently spreading across the country. Accordingly, 3 intensive care units of the KDU hospital will be allocated for the intensive care of COVID patients, and 24 ICU beds with 12 high-dependency beds have been set up in these units to provide all facilities, including high-flow oxygen. That was development news, and now in sports news, the 99th National Athletic Championships conducted by Sri Lanka Athletics will be held from the 20th of May to the 23rd of May at the Sugadasa Stadium in Colombo. The Vice President of SLA, GLS Pereira, said that they have not yet decided to change the dates for the Nationals, and the entries for the meet will close on the 10th of May. Meanwhile, the Junior National Athletics Championship will be held as scheduled from June 17th to the 20th at the Sugadasa Stadium, and entries will close on the 1st of June. That was sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
The second stage of the Sathosa relief package with several new goods will commence today. The aim of this program is to provide quality goods at a minimal price. Consumers can purchase this 1,000 rupee package from the Sathosa outlets island-wide.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Sri Lanka's inflation as measured by the change of the Colombo Consumers Price Index, CCPI, decreased to 3.9% in April 2021 from 4.1% in the previous month, the Department of Census and Statistics reported recently. The CCPI for all items for the month of April 2021 marginally decreased to 138.8 from 138.9 in March 2021. For the month of April 2021, on a year-to-year basis, contribution to inflation by food commodities was 2.69%. And the contribution of non-food items was 1.2%.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue in partnership with the Ministry of Education introduces NanaSir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department has issued an advisory for thundershowers accompanied by severe lightning in parts of the island. Accordingly, the western, southern, Sabaragamuwa, central, Uva and eastern provinces and the Polonnaruwa district are expected to be affected by the adverse weather conditions. There may be temporary localized strong winds during the thundershowers, the Met Department states.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue in partnership with the Ministry of Education introduces NanaSir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. Health authorities have issued new COVID suppression guidelines. All events including weddings and church services have been banned. Schools, preschools, universities and institutes of higher learning, tuition classes will be closed until further notice. School education goes online. Sri Lanka hits a record high of 1,716 coronavirus infections within a day. The death toll reaches 687. In foreign news, US and Nato start to formally withdraw troops from Afghanistan. That concludes this news broadcast, and now it's back to your host, Chandima Veerakone, on the other side this Sunday morning to keep you in great company. Over to you, Chandima, in a jumper today. That's right, a brown, yellow and green jumper. Chandima, you must be feeling cold. Over to you.
Well, yes, indeed.